Hello, everyone! Today we're taking a look at an adorable little thing called Guild of Dungeoneering. And if you stay at the title screen for a minute when it starts, you get a lovely song as sung by the developers. It's wonderful. Now, the developers of this are Gambrinous, I believe is how you would pronounce that. I'm sure that's a word that I could look up, but I don't know what it means. So what is Guild of Dungeoneering? It is a dungeoneering simulator. Sort of half puzzle, half management, all dungeon crawlery goodness. So let's just kind of continue. The music is very wonderful, and you might also be noticing the art style. Striking in its simplicity, but very, very cute. It is all as if everything is hand-drawn by someone with a pencil and maybe a couple of colored pencils here and there. It is really well done, actually, because it kind of pervades the entire game. It's just, everything is drawn in this style. The enemies, the characters, the battle scenes, it's all like this. And if we say go to the way too populated graveyard, for instance, these are all the people that have failed me, or that I have failed, more like. You'll notice that the game has a bit of a sense of humor, a bit of a dark sense of humor, and yeah. Indeed. But basically you are given a guild to build. You are building your guilding. And the Dungeoneers are your characters, and you must grow them, make them stronger, make them better, and try to not, get them all killed because you only have one graveyard. Now, you start out with basically this room and this room, and you can of course put the rooms in whatever order you want to as you get them. Every room has a usage, so you have the obvious ones like the graveyard, and the trophy room, which shows some of the things I've beaten, like the Rat King, the Goblin, the Mimic Queen, and Imbro's Towel. That was an interesting one. That was very difficult for me. But, and most of these other rooms are either giving me more equipment, which you'll have to see later, or giving me characters, and all of these are Dungeoneers. In fact, this guy right up here, the Alchemist, is brand new. I haven't actually used the Alchemist yet, because I just got them. You'll be given fame as you complete quests, or it's gold, and you'll be able to expand your guild, and here is how you actually upgrade. So I've gotten all of the tier 1 upgrades. And as you unlock more, the further tiers will of course become available, and they get quite expensive. So for instance, what's this? An Idol of Heal-Aid unlocks a tonic, which is a blessing. It gives a character a permanent +1 HP in that particular adventure. And other ones, like say this will unlock the Barbarian class. These unlock actual items for you to find. And so on and so forth. And you'll be building up your guild hall, as it were, attracting more and more Dungeoneers and getting more and more stuff and dying a lot. So let's go exploring and show you the actual meat of the game. It is very, very interesting. Now I should say that this is a pre-release build. The game isn't quite finished yet. It's not out. It comes out in 2 days at time of recording. It comes out on the 14th? Question mark? 14th? Yes, the 14th. That is a Tuesday. Because US. Right. So these are all of the various things that I can do. Now I can't actually repeat old adventures, which is something I'd like to be able to do, to be honest. But anyway. So these are the adventures I've completed, and these are the ones that I have available. So I have this one where I have to beat a skeleton, apparently. And I also have this one that involves an evil lich, which I'm very curious about. So basically you choose your Dungeoneer from all the ones you have attracted, from the lowly chump all the way up to some more interesting ones. And I have just got the Alchemist, and I haven't tried him yet, so I'm gonna try the Alchemist. And you can choose a blessing from the ones that you have unlocked. These are sort of little upgrades that you get for that adventure. So for instance, I like to choose the Hug in a Bottle, especially with a character I don't know how to use yet, because it gives me, for the first 2 fights of the adventure, an extra heart. And as you can see, since you only start with 5, one extra one is actually pretty significant. So let's go and see what it's like. There we go. So, I apparently have to reach there, in 10 turns? Can I do that? How many spaces is this? 1, 2, 4. Ooh, this is going to be pretty close, but okay. So you might be a little confused as to what the heck's going on. So this is the game itself, and it is in a very tabletop-y style. In fact, you may notice that even though you're technically playing the Dungeoneer, you're also not. You don't have direct control over them in this case. So I don't actually have a specific control over where they go. But of course I can lead them. So if I put a corridor there, it's going to obviously go in this direction because they want to get to the chest. So I can kind of lead them in that direction. Now I also want them to get stronger, so I want to put enemies in their way to battle. But of course I don't want to put enemies in their way that they can't actually face yet. I want to make it difficult for them so they level up and stuff, but I don't want to get them killed. So the Scary Spider is a very basic level 1 enemy. It's got, those are actually skills, which is something I'll have to explain. Basically that it determines what kind of combat cards they have available. Everything is card-based in this game. Every time it is your turn, you will get a hand that you can play. You can play up to 3 cards per turn. Now, let's see. Oh, he's blessed. +1 to all healing. Nice. Every class has something about them, and they also start with 6 cards. This guy's actually got some pretty serious stuff. Very useful. Alright, so of course those are all things I'll explain once we actually get into battle. Every class seems to have 6 cards. And skills are what you actually get that determine what you can do. And enemies, of course, have skills as well. This has Spooky 2 and Spooky 3 and Nature 2, as well as Frail. And that basically determines what kinds of attacks it'll have access to, and as you play the game, you'll learn more and more about what each of these mean. But of course, generally, the higher the number, the more powerful the cards they're going to have available. So Spooky 4 has access to the cards of the Spooky skill line from 1 to 4, basically. And also, certain enemies have certain things with them, like Night Owl means that if it's surrounded by enough tiles, it'll actually start with 1 less heart. So let's put a spider there. And let's see, I could put that would be totally pointless. I think I'll just let that go for now. You'll move 1 tile per turn unless the tiles are uncovered and you've actually, you've actually been on them before, in which case you can actually move up to 2 per turn. But if there's something to interact with, or if the tile has the Fog of War on it, then, it's not going to do much. So, let's see. You are given a hand of 3 cards to start with, and you can play 1, and you can see what the enemy is about to play. So in this case, it's going to do 1 magic damage to me and heal 1 health. And I don't have a way to block that. I could damage it, but that's going to do literally nothing, so I'll use a Flask of Healing. That way, basically, we'll both stay at full health, and nothing will happen. So, it does have Frail, which means any sort of physical damage does an extra heart to it, but since this guy seems to have pretty much all magic damage attacks, these blue symbols, in his basic deck, that's not something I'd worry about right now. Now he's going to drain again, so I'm going to heal through it. And this is how this works. Every turn it will get something, so I'm going to toss a Flask of Acid at it, and I can play cards, and basically, of course, the idea is you try not to die. So in this case, I'm going to use a Flask of Pixie Tears, so it's going to actually block that magic damage that comes in, and add 2 magic to my next magic damage using attack. So basically there are red and blue, blue being magic, red being physical, and there are damage and shields. Shields block their respective types, so that would have blocked any physical attack up to 1 damage. Now in this case, it's going to make me discard. But since I don't have a way to block that, I'm guaranteed to have to discard 1 random card. So I'm going to use this because it'll do 4 damage to him, so that's a lot. This guy seems to be focused on kind of keeping himself healed and doing lots of magic burst damage. Now in this case, I'll block that again so he won't heal himself. And then I'll kill him with this, because that'll outdamage his heal. And there we go. As you can see, the cards actually resolve simultaneously, unless one of them has that little yellow lightning symbol, which is quick, which only really matters if you're able to, say, kill them before they would have killed you. If they're using a normal attack, that would have killed you, but you use one that uses quick that kills it. That means that you actually live. Normally, you would have killed each other and lost, so they normally resolve at the same time. Now, every time you win, you'll be given a choice of loot, and these are your you know, kind of your bread and butter to actually improve your character, and these are only active in the actual adventure itself. So in this case, let's see, you usually get a choice of 3 unless you have a blessing that gives you more than that, or a trait. So as you can see, these give you the skills. This gives you Stupidity 1, Crush 1, and Armor 1. So what that actually means is that a weapon or a piece of gear could give you different abilities depending on what skills you already have. So if I already had Crush 1, for instance, taking that would have actually given me Crush 2, and therefore would have actually given me a different set of skills. So I personally find that really interesting, because that means that I can actually kind of alter the way things work with my character, even if I'm getting the same pieces of equipment, which is interesting to me. Now I can't put any of these rooms here to actually advance, so I'm just going to wait and put an enemy there. Now, you level up, and leveling up only gives you extra health, which is actually very important because you, as you can see, don't really have that much health. So basically, leveling up is actually really important, just as important as getting equipment, actually. But the thing about this game is it doesn't actually have an experience meter. That was nice and easy. I'll show you that in a minute. Now, let's see. I already have the hand axe. I could get... the stool is useful for a while. It does give you Stupidity 1, which gives you a useless card, but it's better than nothing for now. And let's see what I get in the chest. Ooh, that would... okay, that's useful because of the skills that the alchemist already has, and also giving you something to block physical damage is nice. Yeah, we'll get cooking pot. Alright, so as you can see, first of all, it's adorable, and that your paper doll, it's actually quite literally a paper doll, is actually updated. The sprite changes depending on what you have equipped, which is just super cute. So there's no experience. The way you level up is very simple. You only level if you kill a monster that is your level or above. So I could fight 1,000 level 1 monsters and I wouldn't level up again until I fight a level 2 monster. But killing a monster always awards you loot, so putting level 1 monsters in your way is still a nice way to kind of build your strength if you can. So I'm going to put that there. And I don't actually want to put another monster in the way because I actually have to reach this room before 8 turns actually are up to win. So I want to actually get here fairly quick if I can. And let's see, could I add anything else on yet? I could put that there, but I don't... these fountains... yeah, these can be good or bad. Whenever you go through a fountain, you get the effect. It's almost like a potion effect. And the red ones are generally bad, although burn does affect the enemy as well. And I could place my own, and it will basically be a coin flip as to whether or not it is a useful or a bad effect. I don't really want to do that, to be honest. I'd rather have something that lets me avoid the fountain altogether, so I'm willing to wait a turn to see what I get in the next hand. I don't want to wait too long, because I actually need to, you know, complete the ritual. Or, well, prevent the ritual from being completed, more like. Ah, level 2 monster. Now, you can't put 2 monsters in 1 square, so I have to fight that giant bat, basically. But there is this room, which I can't put there. Yes, I can. I can put this room there. That does mean that I'm not going to be able to reach that skeleton from this way. But I can't put this here, and this is a dead end that I can't use here. So, yeah, I'm waiting another turn, basically. But we're going to get in another fight. So, yeah, I might as well put a mimic right there. Basically, you're trying to entice your hero down a specific path and see if you can actually, you know, get them through the quest, making them strong enough to win, but still, you know, survive until the end. And, there is permadeath. So if your character dies, you lose the adventure, that character is gone for good, and you wait until you get another one of that particular class available, which seems to happen pretty much instantly, really. We're just gonna try and smack it down. I do like that the alchemist actually receives extra healing. That's nice. So, level 1, pretty easy to kill, but worth it, of course, for the loot. That's an unblockable attack, by the way. The combat system is simple, but it's actually very interesting because of the abilities you can get. Now, the Kappa gives you Fire, and I already have Fire 1, so it gives me Fire 2, which gets Flame Lash, which is a quick 2 magic damage attack, which could become a quick 4 magic damage attack for the Alchemist, which sounds like a great idea, but the Leather-bound Tome is actually a better deal because it also gives you Arcane. So, yeah. I really like this skill system. It's a really elegant way of doing equipment, but it's actually very, very effective, and it kind of gets the idea across nicely. I really, basically, because this meets in a 4-way intersection, I have to have a piece that points to all 4 directions to actually attach it here. So, yeah, that kind of sucks. We're just gonna fight this mimic and see if we can live. I do like also besides the game's obvious graphical style, the game has its own style that pretty much oozes from everywhere. The graphical style is an obvious one, but also there's every character, every class actually has a specific personality, and the personality is really, really funny, basically. And it has a bit of a dark sense of humor. Every time you win or lose, you're actually given a little song by the people that continuously sing at you. It's pretty funny. But every character actually has its own little thing. Now, since that's a quick attack, I'll be able to kill it before it kills me. And it's actually kind of fun to learn what each character's little idea of a personality is. They get pretty funny oftentimes, and yeah, I'm definitely gonna get those mage robes. Very useful for the alchemist with the extra healing and whatnot. For instance, the bruiser is basically a chav. It's an angry Londoner. The alchemist seems to be a little eccentric, to say the least. The chump is just, you know, kind of down on himself because he's not that special, and it goes on and on. Everyone has a personality, and it's kind of, you can't wait to get a new character to see what their personality actually is. Alright, so I can put that there, and that's going to make my character want to actually walk towards the now connected objective, but of course there is a level 3 enemy in the way. I could put another enemy in the way of that one to help make me less likely to die, perhaps? But I'm not sure. I could put a shade there, which is actually an enemy I've never fought. It has Death 5. It does have Night Owl, though, so if I put it there, it will only have 6 health instead of 7. I might be able to actually kill it, get some extra equipment to make it more likely that I'll be able to face the Fire Elemental, which has some pretty nasty stuff, and 8 health, and actually live, so here we go. Occasionally, by the way, you will also get gold cards, which are like coins and treasure, basically, that will obviously entice your character to go in a more specific direction with a little more direct control. And also, after every battle, if you want to, you can choose to get one of those cards instead of a piece of loot for your character, to kind of guarantee that you'll have one in your next hand, if you're kind of trying to plan on a specific direction for your character to go. Now, this thing has Tenacious, which means I have to get it down to 1 HP to kill it. Kind of sucks, but I can ignite it on fire. Alright, oh, that's not good. I don't have a way to block it, which sucks. I'm going to try and rush this thing down, basically, because of that debuff and the fact that it needs to get down to 1 health for me to kill it. Yeah, I can kill it. There we go, nice and easy. Able to kill it before it kills me. The combat is actually really enjoyable for some reason, even though it's very simple. I love card games of any sort, basically, and the idea that this one has such a nice style to it, and all of the different loot you can get with all the various skills, it's very enjoyable. Let's see. They do work for dragons. So both of these sound really good. I'll lose those attacks, but I will gain a lot of really powerful stuff because I'll get Arcane 3 and Holy 3. So it gives me all of those skills. So basically, if you kind of understand the skill system, this weapon could have given me a bunch of different abilities depending on what else I had equipped, but since I already have Arcane 1 and Holy 1 and Arcane 2, I'm getting the skills for Arcane 3 and Holy 2 and 3. So basically, you're able to sort of make a character build, essentially, in each adventure that actually progresses with whatever other equipment you can basically find, which is interesting. And obviously this character benefits greatly from healing effects and from magic damage, so that's kind of what I'm giving him. But of course he does have a bit of a weakness in that he doesn't have any physical damage blocking abilities, so that might be something to invest in as well, depending on what kind of adventure you're facing. But in this adventure there's a lot of fire, but magic damage using enemies, so yeah. Now I'm going to put a treasure there so I can get a little more loot at the end of this if I actually survive, and let's fight the fire elemental. Yes. The alchemist is a bit crazy. So it does have burn, which means we both take 1 damage every round, so I'll have to kind of try and out-heal that probably. Not fun. I think I'll save that for a larger attack and just out-damage him for now. So the strategy actually gets pretty significant, especially in the kind of higher level encounters where you're facing bosses and things that can use all kinds of really nasty stuff, and also higher level enemies, of course. Oh yeah, all that healing. And you die. And the strategy is actually pretty important with combining a character with a good build of items that give you a good number of skills to actually do good things. I think I got the Warhorn. That seems pretty great, actually. And get that gem for some extra gold, and we made it to the end. Although, unfortunately, he now wants to go and beat up that skeleton. So what I really need to do is entice him to go in this direction by putting another enemy here. Nope, that's not enough for you. That's not good. If only I had some loot to put there, that would make him want to go. Shoot. Well, putting other corridors isn't going to make that any easier. Well, I guess we're gonna go fight a skeleton, even though that wasn't the idea. As I said, you don't have direct control over your hero, and that's part of the charm and the difficulty of the game, is that you don't directly control what he does. Not at all, actually. In fact, you sometimes end up doing very unexpected things that make things a bit difficult for you, more so than you had thought at first. But that's, again, part of the charm of the game. And the actual... the style that the game has is just such a huge deal. I'm gonna get some gold so I can try and lead him in the right direction. There we go. That you can't help but love it, because it is very, very, like, stylized in every way. Am I gonna get there in time? Yeah, there's the Lich. He's very adorable. Into the frying pan. And all of the bosses and enemies and things say very silly things. And as you can tell, all the enemies are also very cute, even though they'll horribly murder you. So hopefully I can do this, even though it completes in 1 turn. If I actually get there in this turn, does that count as a completion, as long as I'm able to not die? Okay, I did it. Good.
That was so quick you made it look easy. Another happy tale in our short story, if not a little bit violent, and not for the queasy.
Uh-huh. So as you can see, every time something happens, you get a little song. And some of them are really funny, some of them are very dark, and some of them just mock you for being terrible. But that's how the game goes right now. So let's talk about price. It will be $15 when it releases in 2 days, which I feel is a very fair price for the amount of content on offer here. There is also a little pre-order deal that in a few months they're going to release one of their first content packs, which appears to be pirate-themed, which is going to be very cute. It's going to involve a couple of new Dungeoneers for you to get, some new adventures, and a bunch of new items and enemies. And it will be $5 when it comes out, which again I feel is a really fair price. I think they're doing that really well. But if you pre-order now, you will get it for free. And, well, if this looks interesting to you, I'd actually recommend it, because I haven't found a single problem with it, to be honest, and I really like it. It does a really good job of the kind of simple management without it being too frustrating, but also with it being interesting and varied enough to have strategy and depth. I would like to see some other types of items, though. Maybe they've talked about maybe adding in consumables or something like that. That's something they're thinking about working on, or are working on. Maybe potions, you know, things of that sort. I'd like to see maybe one more equipment slot, like say a ring or an amulet that could add a bit more. I'd like to see just a lot more items in general, of course, eventually added, which I'm sure with these adventure packs and things, that's a possibility. I'd actually like to see some sort of risk-reward item in the form of something like, I don't know what they'd be called in the kind of dark humor style of this game, like demonic items or cursed items or possessed items. The idea basically that they would have very powerful effects to them, maybe even effects that you could only get with those items, but they would also have a very potent downside, like say something that gives you blood magic abilities, basically abilities that are very strong but take your health to use, or something that say gives you a very powerful attack but adds a card into your hand also that basically causes you to take double damage from the enemy's attack that round, and forces you to autoplay it if you draw it, for instance. Or a card that causes you to maybe not do anything, kind of like the stupidity card, or maybe even lose 1 health and doesn't do anything for you, but the longer you keep it in your hand after you've drawn it, it makes you discard other cards the longer you have it, and eventually will, of course, discard your hand until it's the only thing left and you have to play it. So, of course, you know, items that give you cards like that, but of course give you very, very uncharacteristically powerful effects to offset their downsides. To give you a kind of a risk-reward factor, I think could be an interesting thing for them to add or think about. But what's already in there is actually pretty great, and as you can see, there's quite a bit. There are several classes that I still don't have access to, and a lot of items. In fact, each of these adds 4, correct? Yep, so that is 16... minus the artificer. Yeah, that's a lot of items. So there's already quite a bit in the game, and if they keep doing these dungeon packs, or adventure packs, for a fair price, I feel that the game will actually have a lot of longevity. And, I mean, really only $5 for extra content if they keep that model up, I think. Maybe if they want to do something very large for 10 or something like that. I think they've got a really good model here with a $15 entry fee, $5 adventure packs, maybe even a couple free updates, who knows. And with the kind of model that's in place with the Dungeoneers, the adventures, and the items and enemies and stuff, it makes it kind of easy, I guess, to add more and more onto it and make it a really nice proposition to get into. So I would recommend it. It has a really good style. It's really funny. It's adorable. And it's actually very strategic, and the gameplay is very satisfying because of that skill system, all of the gear you can get, and the interesting variety of Dungeoneers. This looks like it's going to be an absolute pain. Sorceresses with really strong attacks, and the actual Lich. What do you have? Half-baked and frail? I don't know what half-baked does. That could be something to take advantage of. Now, obviously, each adventure does have special things, so obviously I want to try and get to these chests if I can. But a ritual will complete in 10 turns. I don't know if that means I lose or if that makes the boss harder. There was actually a boss earlier on, the adorable little fire demon-y thing, that he comes after you in 11 turns, but if you're actually able to get to him before he comes after you, he'll start the battle with 3 less health, which makes him a bit easier. So, yeah, lots of strategy, actually. It's a fair price for a fair amount of content, and I would highly recommend it. So there you go, folks. Guild of Dungeoneering. Available now on Steam for purchase, but not actually available to play until the 14th. I have fooled you. And I can't really say much more about it because I really, really like it. And I hope they continue to support it. They have shown that they are obviously very interested in doing so. And I really, really hope that in, say, a couple months' time, you can come back to this and see just a lot of extra stuff added on for you to get and enjoy, because I feel that there is a lot to this, and a lot more could be added, and also, I might recommend they look into modding support, if that would be possible, even if it's more basic modding support, like just adding new adventures in with the assets that are already in the game. but it would be even better if, for instance, you could get support for things like adding in new items, characters, enemies, things like that, because with the kind of hand-drawn style and the modular way that these skills and everything works, I feel that it would actually be a pretty easy proposition to add in more of those by modding, if they allowed that. I think that would be a really interesting way to help keep this game content-rich for a long time and actually supplement their adventure pack releases. So that might be something to look into, Gambrinous. But anyway, that's Guild of Dungeoneering. If you like it, please go check it out, because it is quite a labor of love by these guys, and it's really quite something. So thanks very much for watching. Any more particular questions or whatever, feel free to ask. Comments are always open, even to those of you who abuse them, yes. And, no. But I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.